There was a time in this country when you knew the name of every part of the animal, and you were grateful for all of it, not because anyone told you to be, because the alternative was going hungry. But somewhere between the Great Depression and the supermarket aisle, we made a decision, quietly, collectively, to forget an entire table's worth of food. We forgot the cuts that fed us when we had nothing. We forgot the meats that tasted like survival. In 1932, the average American family had 40% less income than just 3 years before. And the people who still found a way to put meat on the table knew parts of the animal that most Americans today could not name, let alone cook. We are counting down 25 forgotten poor man's meats that America no longer remembers. Stay until the end, because the one meat on this list that vanished almost overnight will change how you think about poverty, pride, and what it truly means to waste nothing. 1. Fatback / sow belly. They called it sow belly. White bacon, side meat. A dozen names because it was everywhere. Fatback is salt-cured fat from the back of the hog, and for generations of Southern families, it was not a flavoring, it was the meal. One small slab dropped into beans or collard greens transformed nothing into something. It disappeared as vegetable oils took over and the word fat became something to fear. Number 2, hog jowl. Hog jowl is the cured cheek of the pig, and in the American South it was New Year's Day tradition, eaten with black-eyed peas for luck. But for most families, it was not superstition. It was the meat they could afford. Simmered low and slow, jowl gives off a richness that ham hocks only dream about. Number 3, chitlins. We lost something when we stopped saying this word without flinching. Chitterlings are the cleaned and cooked intestines of the pig, given to enslaved people because the slaveholder kept the prime cuts. What those families did with what they were handed is one of the most profound acts of culinary resilience in American history. Seasoned with vinegar and hot sauce, chitlins carry centuries of dignity. For many black Southern families, they are not poverty food. They are a monument. Number 4, scrapple. In the farmhouses of Pennsylvania Dutch country, nothing from the hog was wasted. Scrapple is pork scraps, head meat, liver, sometimes heart, simmered into broth, mixed with cornmeal, poured into a loaf pan, and sliced cold for the skillet the next morning. Fried until the outside crackled and the inside stayed soft. It was breakfast. Outside Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Delaware, most Americans have never heard the word. Number 5, neck bones, pork neck bones. A pot of them. Water, salt, maybe an onion. 3 hours on a low flame. That was supper. The meat is modest. Her throats are thin. Ribbons clinging to cartilage and bone, but the broth they produce is extraordinary. Your great-grandfather understood what every French chef eventually learned. The most flavor lives closest to the bone. Number 6, hog maw. Hog maw is the stomach of the pig, stuffed with potatoes, sausage, and cabbage, then baked until it blisters. In the rural South and Pennsylvania Dutch country alike, it was Sunday supper. That refusal to let any part of the animal go to waste, that is the America the supermarket buried. Number 7, liver mush. Drive through the foothills of North Carolina and you will still find it at a handful of diners. Liver mush, a compressed loaf of pork liver, head scraps, and cornmeal, sliced and fried on a flat-top griddle. It never made it to the national table because by the time America was rich enough to export its food culture, liver mush was already something people were embarrassed about. Number 8, head cheese. Hog's head cheese is the boiled. Remnants of the pig's head, snout, ears, cheeks, set in their own gelatin and sliced cold. To the family that just butchered their one hog before the first frost, it was dinner. Translation: when they said they used everything except the squeal, head cheese is what they meant. Patent break. One here is where things get personal. The meats on this list were not accidents of taste. They were the result of a system. The best cuts went to those with money. The scraps went to those without. And for generations, enslaved families, sharecroppers, immigrants, Depression-era parents stretching $1, those scraps became culture. They became the dishes people remembered their grandmothers making even when they could not explain why it made them feel so safe. Did your family eat any of these meats growing up? Tell us in the comments below. Number 9, oxtail for Caribbean immigrants, black Southern families, and Depression-era households. Oxtail was the cheap cut the butcher practically gave away, braised for hours until the collagen melted into the silkiest broth you have ever tasted. Today it sells for $12 to $15 a pound at upscale restaurants. We lost something when that happened. Not the taste, but the access. Number 10, beef tongue. Boiled low for 3 hours, then peeled and sliced thin. Beef tongue was a Sunday roast of immigrant kitchens across this country. Jewish delicatessens served it. Mexican families made tacos de lengua. In the 1930s, tongue was an affordable way to feed a family something that felt like a real meal. Today, it survives only in ethnic butcher shops and taquerias. Number 11, chicken gizzards. Tough, chewy, and deeply savory. Chicken gizzards were the protein of the Southern church supper. Dredged in seasoned flour and fried in lard until the outside shattered, they were the part of the chicken that cost almost nothing and tasted like everything. Today they survive as a Wednesday special on a handwritten chalkboard at a handful of Southern diners. Number 12, dried chipped beef, salt cured and sliced paper thin. Dried beef was creamed in white sauce and poured over toast. Soldiers called it something impolite, but to Depression-era families through 2 world wars and Korea, it was a hot meal. Preserved without refrigeration, a few ounces stretched into a full plate. It has not appeared in the American grocery store in any meaningful way for 30 years. Patent break 2, and get this. The cuts that once marked a family as poor are now the menu items that mark a restaurant as serious. Oxtail stew, braised tongue, chicken liver pate, pork belly. The same food that embarrassed Depression-era children is now priced out of reach for the families who once had no other choice. We came full circle and called it a trend. Hit subscribe. There are so many more stories where these came from. Number 13, rabbit. During the Depression, rabbits were hunted so widely that people called them Hoover hogs. A bitter nod to the president they blamed for empty plates. Families hung dressed rabbits outside in cold weather, cutting one down each night for supper. Today, rabbit is a boutique item on farm-to-table menus, eaten by people who would never know its real history. Number 14, salt pork. Before refrigeration, salt pork was the meat of the American frontier. Heavily brined and packed in barrels, it lasted months without spoiling. Cowboys packed it. Homesteaders lived on it. Civil War soldiers choked it down. Translation, salt pork was the protein that built the American West, and almost no one remembers its name. Number 15, pig's feet. Pickled or braised, pig's feet were the snack jar on the diner counter and the Sunday pot on the stove. To the families who grew up eating them, they were a comfort no other food could replicate. Your grandmother knew exactly how long to simmer them. That knowledge is almost entirely gone now. Number 16, fried bologna. In Appalachian kitchens and working-class homes from West Virginia to rural Texas, fried bologna was not a child's lunch. It was a hot supper. A thick slice scored so it would not curl in the pan, fried until the edges crisped and browned, served on white bread with mustard. The shame attached to it later was not about the food. It was about what it represented. Number 17, chicken backs and necks sold for pennies by the pound. The parts nobody with money wanted. Boiled for an hour, they gave up a golden broth and enough meat for a pot of rice and gravy that could feed 6. Your great-grandmother did not see waste. She saw dinner. The boneless, skinless chicken breast replaced everything she knew how to do. Number 18, beef, liver with onions. During World War II, the government urged Americans to eat organ meats so prime cuts could go to the troops. Liver was patriotic and sautéed slowly with caramelized onions. It is genuinely delicious. By the 1970s, as steak became the symbol of middle-class arrival, liver became the symbol of everything American wanted to leave behind. Number 19, squirrel. Appalachian families fried squirrel the same way they fried chicken. Small, bony, and wild-tasting, it was the free protein of the American forest. As cities grew and hunting ordinances expanded, the tradition faded. We lost something when we stopped knowing how to feed ourselves from the land around us. Number 20, beef heart. The heart is a muscle, leaner than a sirloin, more flavorful than most cuts at twice the price. Sliced thin and seared in cast iron, beef heart has a depth no tenderloin can match. Your great-grandfather knew this without ever reading the nutrition label. It disappeared not because it stopped tasting good, but because prosperity gave Americans the luxury of squeamishness. Number 21, cracklins. not the airy pork rinds of the gas station snack aisle. True cracklins or deep fried pork skin with a layer of fat still attached. Made on hog butchering day, fried in cast iron over an open fire, salted immediately, and eaten hot. In Cajun Louisiana, they still make them right. Everywhere else, the tradition has nearly vanished, and the cracklin went with it. These 25 meats are not just food, they are a record of how ordinary Americans survived extraordinary hardship. With skill, with patience, and with a refusal to waste what little they had. Every neck bone simmered into broth, every jowl cured by hand, every gizzard fried golden in cast iron. Each one was an act of dignity, not desperation, dignity. The America that ate these meats understood the whole animal, the full season, the long simmer. We lost that knowledge quietly in the space of one generation and replaced it with convenience and a strange new shame about where food comes from. Your great-grandmother knew things about feeding a family that no cookbook has ever fully captured. We are here to remember her. Hit subscribe for more lost American memories and the forgotten wisdom of the people who built this country one humble meal at a time.